Hey guys, let's go to Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup 2020 Dallas Fuel Preview. So, it's time for the Dallas Fuel. The Dallas Fuel is always a nice one because we get to talk a lot about the Dallas Fuel, and there's always a lot to talk about with the Dallas Fuel, isn't there? Anyway, hello Dallas Fuel. Last year you did pop into my comments section when I did this video, so hello if you're popping in again. But Dallas Fuel, what do we make of the Dallas Fuel? They've made stage playoffs in both seasons, yet they've actually come up short in both seasons as well. So, in the inaugural season, we came in, Dallas Fuel used to be Team Envious, big name in Overwatch esports, pre-Overwatch League. Did very well in Korea, did very well in NA. In Korea, they went toe-to-toe with Lunatic High. And then they became the Dallas Fuel. And Dallas Fuel then decided they were going to finish 10th in the inaugural season, when we expected Dallas Fuel to be challenging for the title. So, yeah, Dallas Fuel really didn't live up to the expectations in the inaugural season that we thought they would. So, you know, the inaugural season was a very sticky one for the Dallas Fuel with XQC and, you know, unrest and all that. But we moved on into 2019 and we thought, hey, new start for Dallas, why not? And then they finished 15th. Yeah. Dallas, I had high hopes for Dallas in 2019, actually. I thought they would actually do pretty decently. Perhaps not as well as some of the newer teams did, like Hangzhou Spark and that, but I really thought Dallas Fuel could make a go of it in 2019, but again, they came up short, which is very disappointing, actually. They have got talent. We've never denied that Dallas have got talent, but for some reason, it's never quite got them where they want to be. The question is, can 2020 change that? And as I did just say, playoffs, they have made playoff appearances. So in 2019, in Stage 2, they did get a 6th place finish, which allowed them into the playoffs. Yes, they did get swept by the Vancouver Titans, but a lot of people got swept by the Vancouver Titans, so there's nothing to be ashamed of there. And in the inaugural season, they actually made a big run in Stage 4, where they actually got to the playoffs as well in 4th place. So, you know, Dallas Fuel, it's there, somewhere, in the background. It's there, but they've always kind of disappointed. And this is the whole thing, and it must be agony to be a Dallas Fuel fan. That's all I can say. But, you know, the first 2 seasons are in the past now. Let's look at 2020. Let's look at where we are today and see if we can say the Dallas Fuel have improved. And I think the Dallas Fuel really have improved. So, first of all, 2 players have left the Dallas Fuel. That's OG and Taimu. So, with Taimu leaving, that actually kind of rounds out that OG Lunatic High roster. Lunatic High. I apologise, Dallas. Team Envious roster. We still got Harry Hook and Mickey, but, you know, it doesn't feel like Team Envious anymore. It's definitely the Dallas Fuel now. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Taimu, there was an issue last season with Taimu. He wasn't getting the playtime he wanted, and I think it was kind of inevitable that he was going to leave the Fuel this year. So I think that's a bit of, not bad blood. I'm not saying Taimu is leaving the Fuel with bad blood or anything, but I'm saying that's a bit of unrest that's been dealt with at Dallas Fuel. And now Taimu can go to Team Envy, obviously the academy team of the Fuel, and do a lot there, which I think will be brilliant for him. OG transferred to the Los Angeles Gladiators. It's a shame, because I really rated OG, and he was really quite tearful and that at the Dallas Fuel homestand last year. It's a shame to see OG move. I think he'll do very well at the Gladiators. I think this is quite a big loss for the Dallas Fuel, though. But Dallas Fuel have offset that with some signings. And these signings are good. So, let's look at these signings then. So, we've still got the core roster that we got from Dallas Fuel last season. So, Mickey, Harry Hook, AKM. Hopefully no Genji from AKM. Don't want to see any Genji from AKM this season, please. Anyway, moving on. Unco, Closer, Zachary, Note, and Trill. Trill obviously featured a lot as main tank in the latter half of the 2019 season. But we have 3 signings currently for the Dallas Fuel. They currently have 1 spot left. They've only got 11 players signed, so they could sign someone else, or they could get rid of someone else and bring in more players. I don't know what the situation is with Mickey, because I think Mickey is kind of in no man's land. if he's happy to be a bench warmer for the Fuel, then I think he will stay. But I think that's all I see for Mickey. I don't see him starting over Note in that off-tank role. Not unless Mickey's made some really big changes in the off-season. I don't know whether that's happened or not. I've seen the Mickey streaming a lot though. But the 3 signings we have for the Dallas Fuel, the first is Decay in the DPS role. Now, Decay has come in from the Los Angeles Gladiators. Decay, very good hit scan and Genji player. You can also pick up the hands with a Doomfist as well. He's a very good all-round DPS. And you don't see these very often, right? So, very often you've got a hit scan DPS or you've got a projectile DPS. So, for example, Jinmu of the Shanghai Dragons, very good on a projectile. Whereas when you look at someone like Birdwing of the Los Angeles Gladiators now, he is very, very good on the hit scan and was for London Spitfire for a very long time and was part of that inaugural season championship winning team. So, very often you get one or the other. But Decay is kind of a middle ground, and I really like this. He's got the Hanzo, he's got the Doomfist, he's got that projectile with the Genji as well, but he's also got that hit scan in his back pocket with the Widowmaker and the Tracer. So I think Decay is a really, really good signing, actually, just for versatility. Kind of much like Taimu. I think he's a replacement for Taimu, because Taimu had a lot of versatility. We saw Taimu play hit scan, we saw Taimu play projectile, we saw Taimu play the Bloomin' Roadhog. But Taimu, very, very flexible. We saw Taimu on Winston, didn't we? We saw Taimu on main tank when XQC was banned, was it? Sometime back in the inaugural season or early last season, we saw Taimu on main tank. I think it was the inaugural season. So it's nice to have that really, really flexible player. Taimu I would compare to someone like Hydration, actually. Hydration for the Houston Outlaws. But I shouldn't mention the Houston Outlaws in the Dallas Fuel video. Anyway, moving on, and we have another DPS, and this is Doa. So Doa is much more down the projectile and the unique hero route, is what I would say. So Doa comes in from the Element Mystique. Element Mystique is going to come up a lot during these preview videos because Element Mystique has been raided by the Overwatch League teams in the off-season for the Overwatch League. Poor Element Mystique in Korea. Element Mystique have been very good in Korea last year. They won the Gauntlet. They came second in Season 2 Korea Contenders to Runaway, and they won Season 1 of Korean Contenders over O2 Blast quite convincingly. So, and they also won the Pacific Showdown as well, I shouldn't forget, over O2 Blast. So Element Mystique had a really good year last year and only missed out on actually one trophy that was available to them. So very good from Element Mystique, and it's no surprise a lot of these players have been picked up. Most have been picked up by the Paris Eternal. But Doa, the DPS player, has gone to the Dallas Fuel. And I think this is a really, really good signing. He can play the Sombra and the Reaper, and that's what I mean by unique heroes. Reaper and Sombra, they're kind of specialist heroes, and then you've got the more projectile-based heroes, so the Genji, the Hanzo, and the Doomfist, which I really like. Doa is definitely looking like the projectile specialist for Dallas Fuel. And we had a lot of questions going into the 2019 season over the Dallas Fuel's DPS line, right? Because back then it was Taimu, it was AKM, and it was Zachary, and I don't think it was anyone else, because Effect wasn't around, and Effect is now a streamer for the Dallas Fuel. So we had a lot of questions over the Dallas Fuel's DPS line. But when you look at their DPS line now, I would assume they're going to start with Decay and Doa. And if they do, that is looking like a top tier DPS line. I really like that DPS. And I think that could really see the Dallas Fuel carried in some games. And I don't like using the word carry, but I see a lot of potential in the Fuel this year. A lot of potential, more than I have seen before. But then we get to the last signing, and this is Gamsu. So Gamsu has been around the block in the Overwatch League, hasn't he? He started out with the Boston Uprising, was very good with the Boston Uprising when they were very good, when they had Krusty as their coach, and they went 10-0 in Stage 3 of the inaugural season. And then he left the Boston Uprising very, very late on in the off-season of 2019, and joined the Shanghai Dragons. He was very good at the Shanghai Dragons. Obviously, Shanghai Dragons were much improved last year on what we saw in the inaugural season. They couldn't get much worse, could they? And Shanghai Dragons did get to the play-ins. They didn't get quite past the London Spitfire, although they did take them very, very close. But Gamsu has now transferred to the Dallas Fuel. So he's been on 3 Overwatch League rosters. He's rivaling Fisher. Anyway, it's a really good signing for the Dallas Fuel. And it's for a variety of reasons. Gamsu, I'm almost certain, will be the starting main tank for Dallas. Gamsu has a really varied tank hero pool. So I've been on about this recently with a lot of tanks in the Overwatch League. A lot of tanks are very special. So when you see Super is really, really good on the Reinhardt. But his Orisa, it's okay. And it did well for the USA team in the Overwatch World Cup. But we did see Super dropped for Smurf in the league's playoffs, in the overall playoffs, because Smurf actually was performing better on the Orisa. And then we had the same issue with Bumper for Vancouver as well. And when you look at Gesture, he's better on the Reinhardt, less brilliant on the Orisa. Whereas Gamsu, he's actually quite good all round. We've seen him really good on the Winston, we've seen him really good on the Orisa, we've seen him really good on the Wrecking Ball, and a really good Reinhardt from Gamsu as well. So it's a really stable main tank pick for the Dallas Fuel. And not only that, the Dallas Fuel here, with the signing of Gamsu, are reigniting the tank duo from the Boston Uprising's inaugural season, because obviously the Dallas Fuel have Note. And Note played with Gamsu at the Boston Uprising when the Boston Uprising were really good in the inaugural season of the Overwatch League. And this is really good, because this will offer Dallas Fuel stability in the tank role, which is something they've lacked. They really, really have lacked. When you go back to the inaugural season, we had all the problems with XQC. It's a shame, because actually it was a really good main tank, but, you know, things happen. And then last season, they started off with OG, and then they started chopping and changing with Trill, and they didn't kind of know what to do, and it was all getting a bit muddled up. Whereas I see a clear tank line for the Dallas Fuel this season. It is Gamsu and Note. And if they can get Gamsu and Note playing like they were at the Boston Uprising, we're looking at a Fuel that, you know, could be right up there this season. I am not joking. I'm really not joking. When you look at the prowess Fuel have got in this roster this season, you've got Doa and Decay on the DPS, in my opinion, then Gamsu and Note in the tank roles, and then what? Closer and Unco as supports? Closer, obviously, has experience from London Spitfire. And London, when London were good as well. So, I think, and I hate saying this because I hate predicting the Dallas Fuel. I've said this a lot of times. I hate predicting the Dallas Fuel because you hype them up and then they let you down all the time. But I really think this season, if Dallas Fuel can't do it this season, I don't know when they will. I'm going to be honest with you. This roster looks really good. So we go on to the coaching staff, and there's been 2 coaching changes. So we all know about Jane. Jane has moved on from the Dallas Fuel and has become a content creator for Team Envy. I don't want to say the pressure was getting to Jane. I want to say that I think he's more comfortable stepping away from the coaching roles. He got a lot of flack at times. Some of it warranted, some of it not. And I think he's happier where he is. Let's just put it that way. And they've also shifted out assistant coach Damon as well. Who have they brought in to replace them? Well, actually, not all that much. Only one assistant coach, and this is Yong. Yong is a South Korean coach coming in from Element Mystique as well. Again, the Element Mystique thing comes up. Element Mystique, Yong was a coach for Element Mystique, and Element Mystique were doing so well last season. So this is a really good coach addition for the Dallas Fuel. And I think he offers invaluable experience, and he really will be able to knit these new Korean players, not so much Gamsu and Decay, but especially Doa. He'll be able to knit Doa into this roster very well. And I'm really, really interested to see where the Dallas Fuel go in 2020. Because not only that, they are going to be one of the teams kicking us off this season, because the schedule, the first week is at Dallas and in New York. So this is going to be really interesting. And the Dallas opening homestand on February the 8th sees Dallas Fuel go up against Los Angeles Valiant. I think that is an extremely winnable game for Dallas. And they've kind of got 2 ends of the spectrum. When I look at my power rankings right now, the opening weekend for Dallas is 2 ends of the spectrum. So they got Los Angeles Valiant, who I honestly think are going to be quite low in my power rankings. And then they've got the San Francisco Shock. Yeah, completely the other end, right up the top of the power rankings somewhere, I expect. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Dallas Fuel do this season. When I say a lot of people are saying it's a make or break season for the league. It's also a make or break season for Dallas Fuel, because this roster is the best Dallas Fuel roster I've seen so far, on paper as well. And I really think it has the potential to carry the Dallas Fuel to a lot of success this season if they can just live up to the expectations. And this is what I pray for Dallas Fuel, and in some respects Dallas Fuel fans as well, because it's been a tough old ride for this team. It's been a tough old ride, but this new DPS line for the Fuel, this new main tank for the Fuel, I think could really change things. Could really change the fortunes for the team of the Blue Flame. But I'm going to leave it here for this one. The next one, this has been quite a long one actually, but the next one is a really interesting one, and probably going to be a long one as well, because the next one's the Florida Mayhem. And a lot of changes have been happening at the Florida Mayhem in this off-season, not only the colours. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.